And I feel like that's something that is talked a lot on this podcast, but like it's never mentioned. Like you have to think for every girl in her 20s that is looking for someone older, there has to be someone older that is willing to date someone younger than them. So it's okay for a girl to walk around and be like, oh, I want someone who's older than me. Mm-hmm. But then when we start to talk about a guy who wants someone younger than them, it starts to get weird, or like people start to feel like it's weird, but you have to think there's two sides to it. So it's we can say, oh, it's fine for her to want someone older. But then when a guy says that they want someone younger, we're like, oh, that's like weird
or something. Yeah.
And it's like, well, you have to have two sides to it. There's got to be someone for the other person.
And so going around the table once more, and actually as soon as Elsa gets back, we went around but didn't get her answer. Are you cool with age gap relationships? You fine with age gap relationships?
Yes.
Okay. So going around the table, just state your age again and the oldest guy you would date.
I'm 26. And at 22 or 23, I did date someone close to their 50s.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you would date into their 40s? Okay. Yeah. Ryan Reynolds, 47, by the way. Just saying. Okay. How old would you?
I'm 28, and I would say the absolute most I would go is probably like 12 years.
So 40.
40,
okay.
Yeah.
I am 22. And I've dated somebody who is 36. I mean, I feel like it's all about your mental capacity. Are you grown enough to date a grown-ass man? Are you young-minded enough to date a grown woman? I mean, a young woman. Mm-hmm. Like, it's all about...
really weird, though, because I feel like you're kind of speaking out of both sides of your mouth. So you go, well, hang on, let me explain. Like, I really don't have any problem with it. But then when we go to somebody else, you go, there's no way that they're on the same plane or that they are on the same experience level or, like whatever the hell that means. What does that mean?
They might not be on the same level, right? But if you're young and you want to date somebody that's older, you have to be willing to go in and do the things that you've never done before, because this man who is 40 years old is doing those things and you've never done that. You have no experience in it. So yes, if you are willing to learn and do more, then yes, you can be in an age gap relationship. But it also goes the other way around.
I don't understand. What the hell do they need to do? They're 22-year-old.
No, there's such a difference. There's such a difference because at 22 years old,
hang on. Just let you give your spiel. You gotta let me talk for a second. Calm down, okay? You'll get a chance to respond. So anyway, what do you think they need to do? If they're 21, 22, and they're dating, let's say, a 35 or 37-year-old man. What do you think that he wants them to do exactly? Balance his checkbook? Hang on. Balance his checkbook? What? What is it specifically that you think he wants from her?
He wants her to be mature and do all the things that he's expecting from a woman. That is not something that everybody knows, especially at a young age. They're expecting you to be this grown-ass woman who knows how to take care of the house, take care of everything that you need to get done. They are expecting more because they have learned about more women. They have grown and they have grown and learned what they want more than as a young person.
They don't give a shit. They want to have sex with him.
But that's not true because I've done it. I've done it. That's what I'm telling you is I've done it and he's expecting.
And the type of car they drive, they don't give a fuck about that shit. What do you mean?
It's not true. Maybe there are people that don't give a shit, but I've been in a situation where they did expect more. You want me to demonstrate
why I know that? I can demonstrate how I know that.
Because you're a 50-year-old man who wants a 25-year-old woman.
Because men inside of their 40s who date women who are 35, 36 don't have any high expectation from those women either. They don't have any high expectation from those women.
That's what you would think.
Hang on. Right? Volume? You're good at talking, you're not good at listening, so just hang on. Listen to what I'm saying. Okay? They really don't have high expectations from women at all when it comes to this. They don't have some high expectations. She's going to be some work boss and she's going to contribute tons to the household. They don't have any of those expectations. Why the hell would they have them to a woman at 22, 23?
The only reason that I say that is because I've experienced it.
Couldn't there be both? Like,
you think that you were valued for your maturity and that you were valued for your insights into life? Or do you think perhaps you were valued for a different reason?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's what he expected, not what he valued, what he expected. What he wanted from me was different than what I had to give because I didn't
Well, what
know
did he
about
expect?
those type of things.
Yeah, what did he expect?
He expected me to be that girl that wakes up earlier than him, goes and cooks breakfast, and does all these things to make sure that he's good in the day, checks up on him 50 times a day, and do all these things.
Why wouldn't a 22-year-old have the same expectation?
I've also been in a relationship with a 22-year-old, and they like it when you're a little bit more standoffish. I've gotten more attention.
22-year-old. I just want to make sure I get this right. You think that 22-year-old men also don't want you to wake up before them and cook them breakfast? Because I promise that they do.
I didn't say that they don't. I said that that's what a man that is of that age is expecting that, whereas a man that is younger, he hasn't even experienced that, so he can't really say, oh, well, you're not doing this, you're not doing this. He's like, okay, well, this is what I want.
Can
So
we
you're
agree?
saying that because he's ignorant of what it is that
get
he
a word
wants,
in
which is
what?
you to cook him breakfast in the morning before he wakes up, that basically it's easier to exploit him than it would be as somebody who's 35 and is like, no, lady, you're going to wake up and cook me breakfast. Is that really the position?
That's not what I said.
Can't we?
I mean,
agree?
how is it not
Damn
that?
it.
I don't, how is it not that?
Let's go to Giselle. Let's let
agree.
Giselle talk.
I feel like can't we agree that depending on whatever gender we are, whatever age we are, there's going to be men who just want to fuck and then some who want the wife material and vice versa. There's women who just want to just have sex with a 40-year-old man and there's women who want to be a wife in the wife world, want to cook, want to clean, want to provide and be that environment for a man. Can we all agree that there's just
Yes.
it depends on preference?
100% because I think
we can't.
everybody.
Damn it, Andrew! You're just like the
I
debate.
just can't bring myself to agree with this point because I just don't think it's true.
Andrew,
I don't
answer
think
me
they
this.
have
Andrew,
the
Andrew,
same
don't
experienced
you
it.
preferences
have
at
a
all.
wife? Don't you
Andrew,
want her
answer
to
me
provide
this.
for you?
Okay.
Are you married?
He is.
Do you have standards for yourself? How you want your house upkept? How you want your family to be protected, or things like that? Is that not a
Yeah.
standard for you?
Yeah.
Right, and it's a mutual agreement between you and your wife who has what responsibility to upkeep what, correct?
Sure.
Okay, so you don't just expect your wife to sleep with you at the end of the night. You expect your wife to uphold the standards of your household, correct?
And also sleep with me. Yes.
Right, and
course.
both, wholeheartedly, of course.
Sure.
So would you not expect that other people have those standards?
Yeah, but I
that
think that
they're
they're going to
not
have the same
just-
standards at 22 as they do at 40 when it
They
comes to
don't.
that. So I think that men at 22 would still prefer to have their women cooking, cleaning, and upholding the standards of their household as they would at 40 years old.
But also at
So
22,
the
they
thing
want to
is,
just
I
fuck.
think
At
they
22,
prefer-
they would fuck
Hang on, you gotta-
anybody.
let me get a word in. Hang on. There's a lot of people on the panel. Let me respond to what she's saying, okay? Or I swear you're going to get plenty of time to talk. So to kind of get back to this, I think that 22-year-old men still want to have their breakfast cooked, and they still want to have their chick cook and clean, and they still want to have sex with their chick, just like when they're at 40. I'm just saying that I think that 40-year-old men who have a preference for younger women, honestly, mostly don't have the preference because they think, oh, you're really mature for your age. Because they don't think women at 35 are really mature for their age. I think that they think, well, you're really hot, and I want to bang you. That's what I think.
Bang you.
Right? And I think that it tends to work out pretty well. I think it honestly tends to work out pretty well. I think that women are after them for the resources. Hey, they're after them for their youth and beauty. Seems like it works out.
Actually, statistically, though, the age gap relationships don't work out as well. So anything above 10 years starts to decline in terms of relationship satisfaction and longevity.
Yeah, and most relationships don't work out also. Let's
That's
point
true,
that out.
but
the
of
thing
the
is
relationships that do, age gaps work out
What you're
less.
citing are marriage stats. You're citing marriages between these massive age gaps don't work out. That's far different than relationships, which we don't have a lot of data on, or the fact that, oh, hey, these 40-year-old or 35-year-old NBA players who are banging all these 21-year-old cheerleaders, they look real miserable. They look like, oh, man, they just want to check out, don't they? Boy, they look like they were having a real rough time over there, right? I don't think they are. I think that both parties are getting exactly what they want out of that.
Right, because those NBA players also have people that cook and clean for them. So their
And
only
money.
expectation of
Oh,
these
yeah, you
women
think
is to fuck them.
Oh, yeah. You think that a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader at 22 isn't going to wake up in the morning and cook and clean for their quarterback? Yeah, fucking right. Sell me another line.
They got somebody to do it for them.
Yeah, they
but
have
most
the
of
money
these
for
people
it.
have people that live in their houses that do that for them.
Yeah,
so
but so what?
imagine.
But what if they?
And they're
what if they
usually
don't?
married to women who
I
are
think
closer
that
to their
the point
age.
isn't whether they do or
But
they
they cheat
don't. The
with the
point
younger
is I
women.
think that she would. That's my point.
No, I mean,
think
she probably would because most, again, a woman who is willing to take that submissive role to a man is willing to take on those roles for that man. But you're saying that every man just has this expectation to fuck whether they're 22 or 54. And you're saying the maturity
Look,
level.
I know that this
so
is
you're
baffling.
saying your maturity level is the
Yeah.
same maturity level of someone who's 20 or 22.
I don't think there's ever an equal maturity level between
I'm
men
saying-
and
Oh,
women.
I'm-
Very
no, no,
rare.
no. I'm saying men.
was wondering what point we were debating.
Yeah,
Men
hang on. I don't think that there's ever an equal maturity level. And what I'm saying is, oh, gee, older men like to fuck young hot women. Wow, I'm so shocked. I'm so surprised. This is news to me. Whoa,
Wait, who said
this
that?
is just mind-blowing
Didn't-
stuff that young hot women are being quested after by rich older guys who want to bang them. Like, I'm not shocked by this.
Wait,
I
did
don't
anyone
think-
actually disagree with
I
that?
don't think
I'm
we're
curious.
arguing the right point or the same point. You're saying
Okay, what's your point?
My point is that you're saying the maturity level of a 22-year-old male is the same maturity level of a 42-year-old
No,
male.
that's not what I said.
You said
I said that the
regardless.
expect-
Yes, you did.
I
You said
that-
regardless
no, I
of if
didn't.
they're
I said
42 or 22, all they
expectations
want to
could be
do
the
is
same.
fuck.
No, you're straw manning my argument. I said that their expectations of I want my household run are going to be the exact same, I think, as a 35-year-old man. That has
22-year-old
nothing
men
to
don't
do
have a
with their
household.
maturity level.
22-year-old men don't
They
typically have
live
a
in a
household.
dirty
22-year-old men
dorm
wake
with
up in the
other
morning and
dudes.
say, "Why
I
are
need
you
to
here?"
understand that I'm remoted in, and
So
when
let's be
5
for
women
real.
are cackling at the same time. I can't hear a word you're saying. So it has to just be one at a
22-year-old
time.
men don't have a household for
22
a woman to upkeep.
Okay, but let's assume. Well, first of all,
And
that's
even
not
if they
true.
did, they're-
Maybe in this,
they're telling you to
stop,
go.
Stop.
Well,
Stop
since we're
lying.
talk-
Stop lying and coping. Stop lying and coping. Yes, there are 22 men who do
Okay,
have
gotcha.
households. Yes, there are. I don't know
Of
where you
course
came
there
up
are.
with the fact that there aren't, but there most certainly are.
I was under the impression that we were generalizing.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
why
and
I'm
saying,
generalizing.
but in this generalization, you used it as a monolith. You said all. You said there 22-year-old men don't have households. Yes, they do. And I think inside those households, which they do have, they have expectations for how it's run, just like 40-year-old men do.
But also, a lot of 22-year-old men aren't expecting a woman to be in it all the time. Maybe different women, but not just the same woman. That's 100%. They're 22 years old. They're at their prime. They know that they could get any bitch they want. And if they wake up and you're still there, they're wondering when you're going home.
Yeah, but
That's the
okay,
difference.
so
That's the difference
you're-
between that and a
hang on, but you're
44-year-old
selecting-
man.
Listen, you're talking. Now we are talking past each other. So if you're talking about some 22-year-old playboy who's banging a bunch of chicks, fine. We are talking about men who are dating like exclusively with women who are younger than them, but let's just say even the same age. I think that they still would prefer inside their household that their household be run and kept in certain ways. This idea that they don't somehow because there's an age gap is bizarre to me. I don't get that. I would think that a man would expect a 22-year-old woman or a 35-year-old woman to do those things, and I don't see why it's outside of the capacity of either to do them. I honestly don't get it.
I guess it just depends on preference.
And
Their
the
maturity
person.
level.
I think they would all prefer that, but expect it less of a younger woman.
Why would they expect it less? Like, how hard is it to do dishes and cook breakfast? I mean,
lot of-
how old
a
do you
lot
need
of-
to be?
Well, because
Do you need to be
according-
31 years
Well,
old
let me
to do some dishes and cook breakfast? I don't
But
get it.
according to your argument, they're filtering for hotness. So her hotness compensates for the fact that she's not willing to wash your dishes, right? She's got to put in more work than the 35-year-old who's not as hot because he's filtered for hotness. So he might just be okay with that. 44-year-old guy banging a 20-year-old.
I suppose that there could be men who give more of a preference to the fact that she's more beautiful and would let things like that slide. Okay, I guess, but I still think that they have an expectation that if they're dating a younger woman, she can still do the fucking dishes, right? I don't think that that's something that they're too concerned about. I don't think they're like, maybe when you're 30, you can do the dishes and cook breakfast.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's the capability of doing it, more so of the intention or the desire to do it, right? Because I know that for myself, because I literally lived this, at 22 when I was with someone who was 32, everybody that I was friends with was going out to the bar. They were drinking every weekend from Thursday to Sunday, whereas I was upkeeping a house. not many girls my age at that time were willing to or had a desire to do that. They were still living with their parents. They were working a part-time job. They were spending whatever money that they had out at the bars on the weekends.
Yeah, but that's not that different than most women in their 30s.
Right. And
Most women in their 30s are still out partying and still
Right.
living that same lifestyle. So I'm not really sure that this kind of maturity argument works, right? This would just be kind of a case-by-case thing.
Maybe it's just a
wouldn't it?
hope.
And I think that the more
How's
that
that
we're
cope?
hope with an H.
Oh, hope. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But I also think that you're arguing the point of the woman's maturity from 20 to 35, and we're talking about the male's maturity from 20 to 35. You know what I mean? So we're talking about it on the male's perspective of like, we don't think that a male in their 20s is going to have the same expectation as a male in their 40s. Whereas you're saying a female in her 20s and a female in her 30s have the same capability or willingness to do these actions.
Well, what do you think the distinction in expectation is? That's what the initial question was.
a woman in her 20s
Hang on.
doesn't
Let her answer. Hang on. Let her answer. What do you think the distinction in expectation is between a 22-year-old man, a 35-year-old man dating a 22-year-old woman?
I think that a male in their 20s has less expectation of a homemaker woman than someone in their 30s would. Someone in their 30s.
What? Like, give me specifics.
Children.
I don't know what.
Like
the
upkeeping a
generalization.
house. Upkeeping a house. So doing the laundry, doing the dishes, cooking, cleaning, making sure everything is kind of.
Yeah, no, I completely discount
Having
that
their
as being
kids.
true at all. I think that a
That's
22-year-old who is in a
Having kids.
long-term monogamous relationship with a live-in girlfriend or a wife is going to have the same expectations that she keeps the house up as a 40-year-old.
Yeah,
But didn't you say your initial motive was 40-year-old men only wanted to sleep with 20-year-old men because of their looks?
Because
Man.
she's hot.
So
That
it's
was the
like,
original
what-
argument.
That might be, well, hang on. Why she selected for him is irrelevant, or why he selected for her is irrelevant. I think that 22-year-old men also select 22-year-old women because they're hot and they want to bang them as well. I still think that the expectation here for how they act inside of the home is very similar. I wouldn't go over to, let's say, at a 23-year-old friend's house and his wife was there. I think he would have the exact same expectation that I would for how my wife would behave. As far as,
going
cooking and
back.
cleaning and caring for the
vague-
house, why
It's a vague
wouldn't
question,
he?
a
Yeah,
vague
I
answer.
mean-
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just
It all
it's
depends
going
on
to be
preference.
it's going to be subjective on the person, and again, it goes back to maturity level. So you either have a really mature 22-year-old who has this standard of an upkept house, or you have a 22-year-old who's a complete bachelor and doesn't give a shit what his house looks like.
A Rolling
right?
Stone, baby.
So it's going to be based
Yeah,
on
but isn't that a
person.
goalpost shift? So we're talking about people who are in relationships with each other. And in this case, live in relationships with each other. And I find it difficult to believe that a 22-year-old married man does not have the expectation that his wife is upkeeping the house because she's hot any more than the 40-year-old man would have that expectation because
I don't
she's
think
hot.
that's
I
what
think they
we're
still want their
saying.
house upkept either way.
But a 40-year-old man who's filtering for a 20-year-old woman is not the same as a 22-year-old guy who's dating a
Aren't they
20-year-old
both
woman.
filtering for the same thing? Chick hot?
Well, yeah, but the 22-year-old
yeah,
man
so then-
makes more sense with a 20-year-old woman because they're in the same vicinity. They probably go to college together. They probably have seen each
they
other.
may be in the same
but a
vicinity the
40-year-old,
other direction.
you said earlier that a 40-year-old man who's rich is more likely to filter for a 20-year-old, which I'm not disagreeing with because money
Yeah.
does give men power and leverage.
Because they can get them, but I still
Of
think that they're
course,
both
they definitely
selecting for the
can.
same thing. They're
But-
both still selecting for the same thing. They're both still selecting for a hot chick, whether they're 22 or they're 42. So if they're both going to select for the same chick, what I want to hear is why it is they both selected for this chick, but do you think they have wildly different expectations for them in their home life?
I
That's
think they
what I don't
might.
get.
Yeah, I think that a 40-year-old man who makes multiple seven figures has different expectations than a 22-year-old college guy who
Good. What?
probably
What are
doesn't
the
have a
different
job.
Expectations? What
For her
are
to
they?
be
What?
hot and to stay hot and to not make him look dumb when he takes her out in public.
I think a 22-year-old
probably
man
about
wants
it.
the same thing. I think a 22-year-old man also wants his chick to stay hot and not make him look dumb in public.
Yeah, he wants that, but I don't think it goes much beyond that because he doesn't have the opportunities that a 40-year-old, I'm assuming, man who makes multiple seven figures has. They have different life experiences. What got that
What does
man
that
to be
have-
where he's
okay,
at?
then tell me these experiences. This is what I keep asking for, is these specifics. And then when we get on the specifics, you go, yeah, you're right, they do want the same thing. So I want the actual things that you think that the 40-year-old man expects of the 22-year-old. the 22-year-old man doesn't expect.
I honestly don't think the 40-year-old man expects her to do dishes. He probably has someone who
No.
takes care of that.
Okay.
He probably
Correct.
wants her to be nurturing and supportive. But I don't think I don't think
He
it's a
doesn't
deal
expect her
breaker.
to
I
do
don't
the
think he's going to
dishes.
sit her down and say, "Hey, if you don't do the dishes, we're going to have a serious issue."
Yeah, well, I disagree. I think that they will.
I
think that
also-
I think
they
that
do.
if you're in a long-term
We should talk to
monogamous
one.
relationship, live in a situation
worked
with your
with
girlfriend at 22 and she won't do the dishes, I think you'll be like, this chick got took on a date where she was folding laundry. I mean, what do you mean? Yes, they have the expectation their dishes are done. I think they do. Yes. I think you would have to demonstrate something.